La 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 la. La 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 la. La la la. Behind me see my tears fall down. So many things have happened. The years go by and the friends you have for no more. Jealousy and envy. Wow, because you keep on grinding. People wanna see you fail, and although you fall, just move on. Crabs in a barrel. Want what you have, try to pull you down. Don't wanna work, just wanna take. They also pay. Hate on me. The more you hate, I'll be lifted. Hate on me. The more you hate, I'll be lifted. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la la. People come, people go. Where they at, I don't know. Liabilities. Your creativity. Assets I
This is my cut. This is the sad part. I don't even know all the words. But I'll be going in with them, I'm telling you.
You gotta laugh to keep 'em crying. Can't let things get me down. Put a smile on my face, stay in my lane, finish the race. Hate on me.
Check, 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 check. How y'all out there doing in Facebook land? Hate on me. The more you hate, I get lifted. That is my theme song. Yeah, I'm telling you all day. My theme song is written by Chester's own Tyra Starr. And she really, 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 really gets it in. I love it. I love it. I like it. I love it. They always say, you like it, I love it. I'm put it out there like that. So tonight, our topic is called On the Inside Looking Out. I have to join me this evening, Miss Christina McIntyre.
Hi.
And Mr. Straight Out of Chester himself, Quincy Qua Cobbs.
Straight out Chester.
Straight Out Chester. Didn't I say Straight Out Chester? I said Straight Out Compton.
You ain't say straight out Compton, right?
I said Straight Out Compton?
No, you ain't say that.
Okay. I was like,
Yo, what you with
what's going on? What's going on, Gooby Goo? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, I wanted to tonight. We are going to talk a little bit about mental health and everything because, of course, I spent 15 years in the military, 8 in the Marine Corps, 7 in the Army. How many years did you?
3.
3 in which
3
one?
in Navy.
Navy. Mental health talk, right?
Yes.
Getting it all right, getting it all right, getting it all right, just getting it all down. Before we really get kicked into that conversation, though, I wanted to talk to y'all a little bit, and just wanted to get y'all thoughts on it or whatnot. So, the election is over, you know, concerns about COVID is kind of like non-existent in our community. If you look around, people pretty much doing what they do. It is what it is, I guess. But the one thing that I keep seeing is dead people. Just keep seeing dead people. I keep seeing police officers shooting down unarmed African Americans. There was recently
That's on the rise, absolutely.
Yeah, there was recently an incident of a former service member. I think he was either a former service member or, you know, he is still actively serving. I think might be in the National Guard or something. And he got shot down and killed by the police. And it's such a huge problem that it's mind-boggling. And even the one where the police officer shot the gentleman and said she thought she pulled her taser. And I don't know. I don't know about y'all. Tasers look way different than service pistols.
True.
Way different than service pistols. And at a point, you got to start thinking. My thought process is this. So, yeah, it's okay to sue the city. But I think when a police officer does something on their own fruition, and even if they have other people, other officers join in on what they're doing and no one does anything, they should literally be like charged like that across the board. I mean, right is right. You know, people say, oh, well, you got to understand the officer's job is dangerous, this, that, the third. Let me tell you something. If you're scared, then you shouldn't be doing it. If a surgeon is scared to cut my chest open and touch my heart, I don't want him to fuck in there.
Right.
I just don't. I just don't. If a child care provider is scared to watch my children, scared to take care of children, like you in the wrong profession. If you're scared to drive, you should not be on the highway. It just works that way. And if I add that reasoning to everything, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree. But I mean, what do you think about that, Quincy?
Nah, but I think it's only dangerous when it comes to our people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest issue. Like, they only scared when it comes to us.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to say, you know, I think people that are considered not to have value. Because I've seen Caucasian people get killed in mental health issues and things of that nature. It was one guy, his name was Tony something. I cannot remember his name. But they did literally the same thing they did to George Floyd, and they sat on that dude till he died. Sat on him till he died. And he was in mental distress. And I think he the one who called the cops because he knew, like, oh man, I don't know where I'm at. But I think he came from like an affluent family.
Right.
I wonder what came from that. What you think, Christina?
About police brutality?
Yeah, in general.
It's a shame because, you know, police are placed in our communities and we're supposed to go to them for help. And they're the ones
True.
that are harming us. How can you raise your children to go to these people for help if you need assistance and they're the same one pointing their gun at you? I don't think it's right. Everybody should have a right to defend themselves. If you're threatened, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but when you get threatened, your first reaction is going to protect yourself. And so if you're not doing anything wrong and a police officer has a gun or you said a taser, what you're most likely weren't going to, react back. And it's a shame that in 2021, we're still fighting the same battles that happened to our ancestors till this day. And I hate when people say, oh, slavery is still not here. It is. It's modern day slavery. We're still fighting for our skin color, not, for other stuff, for our skin color. And just because we look like this, we get isolated, we get picked out. And, I'm fearful for people that drive because it's like, I'm always watching to make sure the person that gets pulled over is not black. And that's a shame. Like, I shouldn't, I should just go about my business, but I'm just hoping and praying because you don't know what that's going to look like in the end. It could be our own brothers and fathers and uncles and sons, and no one should have to bury someone for getting shot by someone that we're supposed to trust with, our life in general.
Well, I think that the biggest thing here is that there's a movie out on Netflix. It's only 30 minutes long. If you get the opportunity out there, I want y'all to check this movie out. It's called Two Distant Strangers. I don't know if y'all have seen this yet, but you got to check it out. It's called Two Distant Strangers. And basically, it's like a Groundhog's Day for an African-American male. It's like a Groundhog's Day for this African-American male. And there's a resounding theme in this story. And what it is that every day the guy wakes up and he relives the day. And no matter what he does, he can't get away from this one cop in particular. Oh, it is really, really good. And when I walked away from it, it was weird because the movie ended hopeful. Although you knew he was going to get killed, it ended hopeful because he said that he's smarter than him, he's faster than him. He said, I look better than him. You know what I mean? He said, I probably got more money than him. He was like, I'm going to figure this out. And he went through it 100 times. He got killed 100 times, like waking up and going through this crazy scenario and situation. And I'm just like, wow, I wish that everybody could take a couple seconds out and watch it. It's called Two Distant Strangers. Two Distant Strangers. So check it out. At the very end, they show the names of people who were killed by police officers, unarmed African Americans, males, females. It gives some of the reasons, like what they were doing when they got shot. Like one person called and they were in distress, like having a mental crisis, a mental health crisis, you know. But I'm gonna leave that right there, and I'm gonna get this conversation pushing along. And prior to me doing that as well, I want to tell them about your show and everything, Christina.
Okay, so every Sunday here on cmpradio.net, I have mental health talk, and I talk about, having mental health and different ways that we can deal with it and heal. I offer a holistic approach to mental health, dealing with the chakras, because I believe, in order to heal outside, we have to heal internally. And dealing with my own mental health, I was able to come with this, and so I offer that to people. I also have a website, www.becomeyourc.com. I share about our mental, our emotional, our physical, and spiritual, so we can unveil our true identity. I also have an Instagram page, Become Your C. I share poetry on there. My Facebook page got updated. It's BYC, Become Your C. And also, did I say YouTube? A YouTube page, BYC, Become Your C. And newly TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, you can follow me on there, and it's Become Your C. And I'm sharing a whole bunch of different information about, mental health, bringing more awareness to it, letting everybody know that it's okay to have it and that we can still live an enjoyable life even though that we have this, and sharing, again, that holistic approach instead of, medication or instead of other ways. This is an alternative way. That way we can live and enjoy our life.
Boom. And just like I said, Mr. Sherrod Chester himself, Quincy Cobbs. So I wanted to ask you about the page real quick that you do. So what inspired you to start Straight Outta Chester?
Well, the inspiration came from just people. Chester got some phenomenal people, man.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
we have to get their flowers while they're here.
Yeah.
And it's so plagued with the negativity. We discussed that earlier. Yeah. So the premise of the group was to give shout outs to people who doing good in our community, people who, that was the premise of it. But also unity within ourselves. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that, I was separated by hoods growing up. Yeah. We from the same neighborhood, you know what I'm talking about. And we couldn't go on the west side, things of that nature. But in this group now, it's people that from different parts that now I connect with, we can network. That's part of the thing too. Now, one quick, I want to give shout out to my admins. I'm the founder of the group, Straight Outta Chester, but Gooby Goo runs the group. He's the head of the group. He's the leader. Yes, indeed. And then I got the first lady, Lakeisha Morgan. She's the admin.
Cool name.
Shaka Johnson. Then got Vern Swigert and William Dickerson. That's the crew right there.
I know every single name you named. I know every single name you named right there. Yeah. But I mean, I dig the page because I see y'all giving shout outs all the time.
All the time. Absolutely.
I see y'all allowing people to put their videos on there, their podcasts, their information, their flyers. Y'all be telling people happy birthday, just about everything, and it's a good community space. People got a lot of jokes on there, just the same too. But it's really entertaining, but it's also information on there. People share a lot, and that's what community should be about, sharing. So I really do appreciate you doing that page. So there go your flowers while you here. I appreciate you getting it started and putting some phenomenal people in place that keep that thing running without a hitch.
It's a well-oiled machine.
Yes,
those people keep it well-oiled.
Yes, and it's very, very active. A lot of people get pages and they'll be dead pages, but it's a very active page. So the conversation tonight is on the inside looking out. And I chose the topic, I chose the title on the inside looking out because oftentimes I do talk about people dealing with mental health issues or mental health concerns, but it's really from the perspective of someone dealing with the person with the issues. And this evening, I wanted to talk about what it's like being on the inside and dealing with people that don't have the issues. And one of the biggest things I found, like when I was overseas, and all y'all know because y'all done heard me say it a million times, when I was overseas, I got blown up. I had a little bit of traumatic brain injury. And what I found was when I came home, like sometimes there would be words that I would put in place that didn't go in the sentence. So I could be like, oh man, I'm going to the store to buy a loaf of bread, some milk, and an airplane. You know what I mean? And I know I didn't mean airplane, but then I would have people quickly correct me, or I would have people say to me like, let's say I'm saying something that I know is right, and I'll have somebody saying to me like, oh, well, you forget all the time. And I'm like, well, this time maybe I didn't forget. This time I actually remembered.
Right.
But you're challenging me on what I know I remember. And it used to frustrate me so much. And dealing with that aspect of things, knowing that I have PTSD, knowing that I have anxiety, knowing that I have, depression, one thing kind of fed the other. I got anxiety when I thought about speaking, and when I would say something, I would think to myself, maybe I shouldn't say anything, and it started turning me into somebody that I wasn't, because I started being afraid, because the people around me didn't necessarily know how to deal with somebody with the kind of problems that I had.
They wasn't educated on.
They wasn't educated.
Right.
They
Exactly.
wasn't educated. And a lot of times, even getting into arguments, or you have selective memory. You choose to remember what you want to remember, and then you choose to forget what you want to forget. And I'm like, man, that's like telling somebody who has seizures, or you have a seizure when times get rough. Like, oh, you don't want to have this conversation, so you just going to seize out. You know what I mean? And it was so, like, I felt so alone. And it's weird to have so many people around you, and so many people who say that they're in your corner, but you feel so alone and isolated, and it makes you kind of draw in. You got what I'm saying?
But sometimes I want to be, real quick, I'm a mentally disabled veteran too. I served 3 years in the Navy.
Yeah.
I experienced some trauma in the service, without going into detail.
Yeah.
I suffer from bipolar, depression,
Yeah.
PTSD, all the above. I see a therapist every week.
Yeah.
I see a drug therapist every week because I use certain substances to mask what I was going through.
Yeah. No
And it was good for the short term.
But you know what?
You know what I'm saying? But
most people do that. Because I used to drink heavy.
I drunk real heavy.
Yeah.
Real heavy. But I just know the problems don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm saying that now, but at the time it was good for the short
At
term.
the
like I said.
time, it was enough.
It was good.
Drinking helped you go to
fix.
sleep.
Sleep real
Yeah.
good.
If
I couldn't drink without I was gonna say I had to drink real heavy to even go to sleep.
Yeah. Because when I slept, I would sleep for like 2 hours, if that. Like, and at that, I could sleep for them 2 hours, but I would probably wake up halfway through, doze off, then wake up like it's 6 o'clock in the morning or something, and I'm ready to go. Like, just crazy.
And if I get up in the middle of the night, if I'm up, I'm up.
Yeah.
So I'll use that just to stay out. You need to rest.
Yeah.
And you're already in your own mind, so you know.
Yeah, no doubt. You definitely need the rest, and that's why I say, once again, it's hard. And it's good that we can sit here and have this conversation about what it's like sitting on the inside of all of this, because everybody sitting at this table, deals with their own special set of circumstances. But I think we have a lot of stuff in common when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Because I think that mental health presents in different ways to different people, but I think a pattern arises where, okay, you may turn to substances to try to alleviate the stressors, or you may put something in place like gambling. It may be sex.
Right, absolutely. Gambling, true.
You might be real reckless.
It could be food.
It could be food.
Right, true.
Could be food. Anything to help you get through what you're going through, and these things give you comfort. At the end of the day.
Even displaying anger, like, aggression, can be a way to cope. Like, maybe before these things happen, you weren't that person, but you just need to lash out, and that's the way to do it. You might start lighting stuff on fire or doing different things. And what I've learned over, like, the last few months, I think we judge people, like, even ourselves. Like, we judge people too much, and we don't know what people have been through, why they chose, to drink heavy or do drugs or eat a lot.
Exactly.
And so they have to deal with it in their own way. And when they're ready to, heal with whatever they're going through, they will. But if they don't, then you have to let them be and find a way for themselves.
Well, when we look at it, when we really, really honestly look at it, Hollywood has told us what people are. Hollywood gave us our labels. Yeah. Number one, if somebody is an alcoholic, they're wino. Where we get wino from? TV. They're wino, and they're wino because they just like drinking. Not that they have a problem. Yeah. Not that somebody died. Not that they got mental health issues. No, nothing. They just, you're an alcoholic. If somebody's shooting up or somebody's sniffing coke, that's just what they like. They rubbing it on their guns out. Give me some more of that. You know what I mean? They like this. They like the Cookie Monster. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. It's like they're excited to do it.
No, but see, like I said, like I use substances, like I said, the coke, but then the addictive part of the substance kicked in.
But the crazy
I needed it. I was craving.
Yeah, the crazy part is that I think that a lot of people have a hard time identifying with people with mental health issues because of the simple fact of the labels that's placed on somebody. And if you're labeled crazy, then you're a non-factor. Yeah. It's like, you know what, they just crazy. This is just what they do. Absolutely. Don't worry about this, that. Not even paying attention to this person may have been getting sexually abused their whole life and burnt with cigarettes or something. And this is why they're doing it. Oh, she just crazy. Oh, you don't want to talk to her. You know what I mean? And even if you have a chemical imbalance, like bipolarism is bipolarism. You can't control bipolarism.
No.
That's not something, that's like somebody controlling cancer. Like, I think that a lot of times people don't look at these things as real because when I look at you, you know what I see? I see Qua. So if you do something right now, Qua did that. He this kind of person. Now I want to blame you for what's going on in here.
Right.
You can't do that. Right. You can't do that. I'm looking at Christina like, she flaked out. She flaked out. She didn't show up when she was supposed to. You know what I mean? But it's not that you didn't want to show up or you didn't want to come through. What it really is that you got shit going on. Anxiety will freeze you. The true story, this weekend, I was driving somewhere to help a friend. I had such a bad panic attack. I had to literally pull over. I had to pull over and I sat there and I called her up. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to help you. You know what I mean? And the only saving grace within me, and I kind of credit it to the Marine Corps. I know a lot of times our parents tell us, don't go in the military, don't do this, don't do that. But I don't trade my military experience for anything because I think it taught me a couple of things. And with being in the Marine Corps, I put things in a certain frame. And I said, I gave this person my word I was going to do something. And so I have to do it.
Right.
And I called her, and I'm like, I'm having a rough time. You're probably going to have to give me a couple minutes. But I will get there. And I got through it. I got through it on the other side. And that's what keeps me going. Just getting through something, making it through to the other side. It gives me strength for the next time the big one comes. Yeah. And I'm sitting there thinking like I'm going to die or whatever. It's you get these crazy thoughts in your head and you just can't freaking control them. And that's why it is kind of better. A lot of people self-medicate or a lot of people drink. Because when I drank, it's like the beast inside of me because I had to go to anger management and everything.
I did the same thing.
The second therapist, the first therapist I had was really good. The second one, I made her cry, but she was a newbie. But I made her cry because she was parroting me, and I hate being parroted. You know what I mean? So I hear you saying, and I said, look, you know what I mean?
That was a textbook therapist. She was just go by the book.
She quit. She quit.
Yeah, like I remember. I got it under control now, but 3 years ago, I used to be late running to stuff because it would, like back then, my panic attacks last an hour to 2 hours. Even if I got up at like 6 and I might not get out of there till 10, I remember I was running late to go meet my family. My brother didn't understand at the time because I wasn't out there in the open about what I was suffering from, and they used to get upset, and I later had to explain, I'm like, look, I didn't do it on purpose. I'm having a panic and anxiety attack. Like, I had to get myself to feel some type of normalcy. And I think people don't understand that. But I think we need to share that with people. Like, look, I'm having a panic attack. I'm feeling depressed today. Like, and maybe they could offer some advice. Maybe they could listen. But I think, it's kind of up to us a little bit too to let people in on it, because it is becoming more aware now. But we have to accept it ourselves. Like, look, this is who I am. This is what I'm dealing with. No, I can't be everywhere all the time. I'm going through this. I need a moment, and that's okay to take that time for yourself to regroup and get back together. Just don't sit in that too long, because I've been depressed too. Because when you sit in it too long, that depression can last days.
Yeah.
And before you know it, it's a month go by. You got laundry that's 4 weeks piled up.
You can't do shit. Well, see,
That's right. That's true.
rolling into depression. But let me explain to if y'all watching never had a panic attack, let me explain what a panic attack is like. Let's say, remember when you was a young boy, young girl, you walking down the street with your friends, y'all talking, y'all in your own little world, and then all of a sudden, like a dog jump at the gate, and you be like, oh shit, and your heart just boom, 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 and you like, oh shit, and y'all start laughing is the response, like, oh, you was scared to death, yada yada yada, you know what I mean? Y'all all laughing about it. It's not about the laugh. It's not about the la la land before the incident, but right when it first jumped off, imagine feeling that way for 30 minutes. Nothing else is there. Nothing is going on. There's nobody attacking you. There's no dog barking at you. No anything. Yeah. But your body is betraying you. Your body is your assailant. Your body, and it's the weirdest thing because we take so many things for granted. If you want to get up and walk to the refrigerator, you don't have to say left foot, right foot, stand, turn. You don't have to tell your body to do anything. It just does it. It just does it. Your brain sends these signals out to your limbs, and you just moving and you doing stuff fluidly. Imagine you getting tired and you saying, I'm going to sit down. You go and you sit down. You can stop standing up. Imagine if you couldn't stop standing up. Yeah. Imagine if you couldn't stop yawning. Imagine if you couldn't blink. Wind blowing, dirt, sand, you can't blink. You can't stop yourself from doing these things. It's all involuntary, and it's intrusive. It's like, honestly, it's like being assaulted. It is.
It's definitely a scary feeling because you don't know when it's going to happen. Like for me, I try to make sure I eat right, I do all of this, and I still have them. And sometimes I have many ones throughout the whole day. Yeah. And it makes you feel like you're scared. You're going to die. I have so many hospital bills from running to the hospital before I figured out what was going on with me. And now you got to calm yourself. And like Mary said, sometimes it can take an hour, 2 hours. Yeah. You could go to bed and wake up and here comes panic. Hello.
You could wake up in the middle of the night. Yeah. You wake up in the middle of the night for no other reason but you woke up and all of a sudden your shit like bam. Right. You know what I mean? So now you laying there and you trying to make a decision. Like I remember every night when I went to sleep at night, I would pray to God, and I would always say, and I said this thing either last week or the week before, and I would just say, I would do my prayers. I thank God for everything, and I would ask God to please let me live long enough to take my daughter to school. And drop her off. I did not want my daughter to ever come in my room and find me dead because I didn't this. And that's what anxiety feels like. It feels like you're dying. Like you're literally dying and there's nothing you can do. It's nothing you can say. And it's like you can't barter. You can't bargain with it. You can't bargain with it. It's determined.
And we talked about police brutality earlier. Like I was in situations where as though being a mental patient, having depression, whereas though I got pulled over, and I was in situations where cops literally, I seen them, they didn't see the anxiety I was having, you know what I'm saying? And I seen the aggression coming, whereas though I try to explain to them like, sir, you know what I'm saying, calm it down, like this and the third, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. The public has to be educated because like I said, there's a lot of situations where they don't know, you know what I'm saying? And they could easily pull a gun on me, or I might could have been shot. Yeah, in some instances, I've been in a lot of situations like that too.
I'm a licensed firearm owner. I have a 9mm Glock. You know what I mean? Glow in the dark sight. I love it. You know what I mean? The whole thing is this, though. If I'm driving in my car and I get pulled over, in my mind, I have to say, I can't tell this cop I got a gun in here. You know what I mean? And then run the risk of, if they ask me for, like, my papers and stuff, and I got to reach in here and they see the gun or something. Because you know they looking.
Right.
They watching everything you do.
Everything.
And so I had to make a conscious choice. Living in a neighborhood that's not so good, you got to make a conscious choice. Do I carry my gun with me? You got what I'm saying? Do I bring my gun out into the streets?
Yeah.
And why should I have to be afraid? I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've served my country 15 years. I've been to war in every fucking thing. Why do I have to be afraid? And even in the sad part about everything is I got a little bit of size to me. But I can even imagine in your situation getting pulled over, you have an authoritative voice. Your voice is very deep. It's authoritative. So if you say something to them, even if you're trying to calm them down, it can be taken the wrong way.
Absolutely right.
I got pulled over before too by 3 cops, and I was shaking like really bad. It was early in the morning. They had the nerve to ask me why I'm shaking. I'm like, I'm a woman, and it's 3 cops that pulled me over for something minor. Like, who wouldn't shake over something?
I'm a grown ass man.
Well, me, I didn't even know what was going on, and then they talking about they wanted to search my car. I know they
Search your
can't.
car for what?
I don't know.
See,
Exactly.
That's the
That's
problem.
another
You
thing.
cannot take liberties. These
Yeah,
are
I have no
liberties that they
idea.
take with
Then
us.
they went through my purse too. Was like, why do I have ibuprofen? That's prescribed to me. It was prescribed to me.
Wow.
Yeah, this
I'd
was
been like,
this
well-
was in Glen Ridley area though.
Man, let me tell you, Ridley ain't got nothing else to do but be Ridley. That's all we can
Really
say.
always been really.
Yeah. I remember we used to go to Discovery.
Right.
And we used to walk from Chester out to Discovery and
Right.
back.
Every
and
Friday
we
night.
got locked up one night and they tossed all of us in the back of a squad car. It was probably like 6 of us from 18th Street, stuffed us in the back and was speeding. He was like, y'all niggas gonna die.
I was one of them too.
You was in there with us?
Yeah, I was in there. It was a
Okay,
lot of
he
us,
was
like,
like, y'all niggas gonna
like
die.
10 of us in there.
I was like, ah. We was yelling and everything, but we was kids. And I don't even think any of us even told our parents that he literally said, y'all niggas gonna die. I don't remember it ever coming out. I don't remember anybody saying it. I remember him flying down the road with us in the car. Because I remember when we hit a bump, because one of us was laying over top of everybody. And we hit the bump, it was like,
Damn.
and he was laughing and everything. I'm like, man, we gonna die tonight.
I mean, yeah, my uncle, he's like 80, but he told me stories like years ago because my aunt, he's black, was married to a white woman, and they used to go up that way and stuff, and how they used to question him, and they still question him when he goes up there to this day. And it's a shame to see that kind of disregard for humans just because the color of your skin.
Well, even when we're
Exactly.
taught how to interact with the police and everything as African Americans, but just imagine how ill-equipped they are to deal with us as African Americans, but on top of that, to deal with us as African Americans when you have any type of mental problems or whatnot. It's
That
man,
what
it's
about
a
that?
lot.
Was it last year? The boy that died. I think the cop, he was having a breakdown, and his worker was trying to get him under control, and the cop intervened and stuff like that. Like, it's not fair. The boy, or I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, couldn't control it, but the worker was trying to step in, and then he decided that they knew more of how to deal with this person. Like, stuff like that happens all the time. Like, you can't approach people. Like, what if a cop do approach somebody that is off for their meds? Something's gonna happen.
Let me tell you something.
That's true.
I refuse to lay down peacefully and let you murder me.
Yeah.
I refuse to. Cause let me tell
Well, if
you
you
something.
don't lay
Number
down,
one, I
though.
got issues. I got issues. I got papers that say I got issues. Number two, I'm not gonna. I don't envision myself like laying down
On the ground.
and just letting you do what you gonna like. Let me tell you something.
But if you don't lay down, they become more aggressive. Like, what can you do?
Yeah,
It's like 3
the
strikes
problem
against
is,
you already.
The
like,
problem is that they have too much authority. They have way too much authority. You know what I mean? even if you, maybe the new thing needs to be, okay, if you pull somebody over, then, you know, maybe a family member has to come. Or no, but even with that, they could simply say, "Oh, they lying because they're going to take the side of the cops." I just don't really see any way of making that any better. I don't think that you should be able to turn off body cams.
Well, they said
I don't think so.
They said now if you feel like you're getting pulled over, hurry up and hit live on your camera. That way, it's kind of like proof. But I get you. Like I don't think I'm gonna lay down and let somebody.
But
murder
most
me.
people aren't in that mental space to say, "Let me record."
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I promise you this. I can literally never see myself just laying down. I can see myself trying to be nice. I can see myself saying "sir" and everything else. But I refuse to peacefully let you murder me. It's not gonna happen.
Well, you know, I think,
And besides that, I know too much of how to protect myself, because in the Marine Corps, it's a saying, like when they taught us line training and everything else, and even when I took Kenpo, they was like, you know, you can't do anything about somebody getting on you, but you can definitely do something to get them off. And you got to realize that, yeah, I don't see it going down like that.
but it's like when you get pulled over, cops look to round you up.
Yeah, but I think some of them do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
I've been
it's like you in a no-win.
accused of, one time I got accused of running a red light, you know, and with this one I had my van, I got accused of running a red light. The reason why they let me go is because I had an airborne sticker on the back of my van window. But the sad part is when they came up to my car, it was a female officer. My window was broken. It wouldn't roll down. So when she came up to the window, I had my hands on the window like this. I'm looking at her out the window and I'm telling her, "Miss, my window does not roll down. I have to open my door." And the weird part was I had opened my door at first and I yelled out like, "My window doesn't roll down. Close the door. Close the door." Okay, my window. If you shut the fuck up, stop yelling at me and hear what I'm trying to tell you. Now you want to come up to my car all on the side with your hand on your gun, talking about roll your window down. I'm like, I just told you like 5 times my window is broken.
Crazy.
What more do you want from
Right.
me?
And let's be honest, how many instances do you hear about officers getting shot?
Oh,
Rare.
We rarely hear it. It's like
very rare.
Very rare.
I'm not
for
saying
them to
they
be
don't, 'cause I know
vigilant
some
like that. That's
people
what I'm
do.
saying. For them to be real, I mean, what?
But I bet you the ones that probably do get shot like that, they kicking indoors and stuff, doing drug busts, going into dangerous places. It's like saying, okay, if I'm in the military and my job is to clear out a house, you know what I mean, and this is where the bad guys are, I mean, somebody gonna take a bullet. Something is gonna happen because the stage is already set for it. You can't expect to go somewhere where somebody has guns, drugs, and money and think a shot ain't going to be fired. They think, oh, they got us. They got us. Come on from under the bed, Tyrone. They got us. Come on. Everybody line up. It don't work that way, you know, because ain't nobody trying to go to jail for the rest of their life.
I always wonder when let's say I see a black person pulled over or anybody, why do you have 5 cop cars for this one person? Are you that afraid of this one person beating up all 5 of y'all? Like, I don't get that. Even as a woman, me driving, I get scared that I might get pulled over by a police officer. And I heard stories about what police officers do with women, too. And then if I have my son in the car with me on top of that, like, it's a shame that we can't drive freely and we're doing everything we're supposed to do. And at any moment, they could pull us over. And then I have brothers and stuff that I'm fearful for because it's like they've gotten, my brothers were walking and they gotten stopped in Woodland. What are you doing? I'm going to work. Like, oh, well, why do you have a hood on? It's cold outside. Yeah, like.
It's raining. Yo, let me tell you how. So we all make this assumption that the police officers that are on the police force got their shit together. So I used to think that when I went into the military, that prior to going into the military, I thought like there was this big process and everybody was together mentally and everything else. Guess what? No. Wrong answer. There is crazy motherfuckers in the military. Believe you
Oh,
me.
that's probably
They
the
came,
most.
They came in crazy.
Right.
Came in
They
crazy.
experienced them while he's
So
in there. Absolutely.
You can't pay me to sit here and say that I strongly believe that everybody that's in the police force, is like mentally stable. I don't even believe everybody's mentally stable. I think half of them folks is suffering from PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Half of them folks, they are suffering from anxiety. Let me tell you something. So when I came home, I used to always check my windows and shit all the time. If it snowed, I'm looking at the snow to see. I'm a motherfucker about security where I live. I'm a motherfucker about security where I live. That's just how I feel. You know what I mean? Like, nobody gonna come in here and get the drop on me. That's, and it's stuck inside of my head.
Right.
So in doing the jobs that you have to do when you're in the military, think about those police officers that do a lot of dangerous jobs, that may be in a lot of dangerous situations. Think about how you feel as an individual, just to give you a window into something. So if I asked y'all a question tonight, you ever been in a fight? 9 times out of 10, most of y'all gonna say yes. If I asked you, were you afraid? 9 times out of 10, you're gonna tell me no. You're a fucking lie. There's times that you got into fights with somebody that you probably thought you couldn't beat. And so going into it, your heart pumping, your adrenaline racing, you getting ready for like anything. And so every time they pull somebody over, they kind of feeling that way.
Yeah.
They feeling that. It's like a rush. You feeling it. Let me tell you something. When I got blown up, you would think like, oh, you would sit there and be like, oh shit. But no. I kicked right into my training mode and what I was supposed to do, what I'm supposed to be checking. I'm calling shit in. I'm doing like everything just happened, and it wasn't slow motion. You know what I mean? It seemed like it should have been moving faster than what it was, but it wasn't slow motion. It was like real time. Like I was watching a movie, but I was there. And I was doing all the right things or whatever. So what makes you think, because you train how you play. So what makes you think with the training that they got, the military training they got, what they're taught to say, what they're taught to do, what makes you think their training doesn't automatically kick in? That shit is like muscle memory. You teach somebody, let me tell you something. If I put you in an arm bar, I'm going to break your shit all day long. If I put you in an arm bar, I'm going to break your shit. But I'm not taught to subdue. I'm not trying to stop you. I'm trying to drop you. I don't have time to sit here like in the military, and a lot of these police officers are military trained. You know what I mean? The 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. Boom, boom. You know what I mean? You doing it, when you get trained a certain way, when shit happens, it's like muscle memory. It kicks right in.
Yeah.
It kicks right in. But even then, with that being said, you're teaching me to roll into a space of mental instability. Because in the moment, I'm not thinking with my mind. I'm not using critical thought. I'm thinking what you taught me, what I'm used to. And imagine somebody on a job 15 years. Imagine people doing the same thing day in, day out. You know what I mean? You think it's not that deep, but think about what you do at your job. You can do that shit with your eyes closed. You can do that shit without thinking about it. You got what I'm saying? If you work for the nursing field, if somebody was having a stroke or a heart attack, boom, you'll pop right into it. That's just what you do. If you was a doctor or in an OR or something like that, and somebody was cold, and you would know exactly what to do, and you would kick right into that with like no pauses. I think that's what these people do. I think that's what these police officers do.
I think sometimes people just getting in for the hell of it, like just so that they have a right to shoot somebody, and it's okay. Like when I worked at Chick-fil-A, it was a cop. He worked there part-time, and he used to get off on arresting people and stuff like that. Like he would talk about it, and I'm like, this is kind of sick though.
Yeah,
like,
I bet
you're sitting there, and so and then they said a lot of times police officers are people that were bullied growing up, and so now they paying back.
But see,
but
we
they're
can't.
not going back. I know. I'm not saying.
Yeah,
I don't
we can't
know for
assume
a fact.
that would say everybody on the force was bullied. Nah, some of these brothers is in shape and everything.
True,
they was
right.
probably doing the bullying.
Exactly.
Amanda said, "Do you think the training is based on the color of the skin?
That's a phenomenal question right there.
I think it's a great question.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say this. I've never been a police officer, so I can't necessarily say what they say. But what I can say is I know that they do get military training. Not all of them. I know SWAT do. But I know a lot of police officers are being sent to do that kind of training. When I was going overseas, they referred to the Afghani people as, ragheads, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They referred to their clothing as man dresses and stuff like that. We have all of these derogatory marks. But what it is I think that you want to train people to be aggressive. Let me tell you, my uncle Mike taught me something a long time ago. He said, the most aggressive person is the person that wins the fight. You take the fight out of somebody from the gate. I learned that in the military. If I hit you, I'm going to make sure that hit counts. I'm going to make sure that if I punch you, you felt it in your spine. Because it's going to take the fight out of you. It's going to take the fight right out of you. And so most people are so vicious in the first few minutes. And even I remember when I used to fight when I was young, I'm balling up my fist. I remember when I was young and I used to fight, I used to go in. I used to literally go in. That's what I did because I knew I had to be vicious. But I think that they are taught to be vicious. They are taught to be aggressive. They are taught to control the situation. Yeah. There is no way to control the situation to them without aggression.
You know what I noticed though? I'm gonna get probably a little bit of flack about this, but from my perspective, in Chester, the police force, you don't hear a lot of flack about police brutality as dangerous as we know our city is. As violent as the city is, you don't hear about a lot of police attacks in our community.
You know something?
And Chester might be one of the safest as far as, no, don't get me wrong. But it's well protected as far as, they do their job as far as serving the community. You're not out here, you're not harassing, you're not pulling you over for any.
Well, I think it depends on who you are. Definitely not just, like this ain't the city you're going to get pulled over for tags or something.
That's true. We all know that.
Yeah, you go to Ridley.
Ridley,
you
right.
Go anywhere
on
the
outskirts.
They'll pick you up. So we get, like our law enforcement down here, I think they police a certain kind of way. And I think that they're aggressive to people because it's a small place. It's 35,000 people live here.
True.
Everybody knows everybody. And if you don't know somebody down here, you know their people. You know what I mean? So the place is so small. They've been working down here, and they work the same beat for however long because we know our cops. If certain cops work your area, you know them, they know you. So they know who doing what. Like, this ain't the area where somebody going to steal your kid. It's just not.
It's not. It's just not that.
This ain't the area. Now somebody might break into your car, but I bet you anything, without any statistical information in front of me, nobody around here really breaking into people's house. And if somebody broke in your house around here, it's because they know you got something. That's just my bullshit thing with no statistics or anything. Certain types of crimes occur in certain places.
And they say most likely is the people that break into your car or your home is somebody that you already know.
You already you already know. True.
But a lot of times with shit, you get a lot of people that freaking do things, even though they may know the person that they're dealing with or whatever. They still might do things or what have you. Let me see. Boom, 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 boom. So Chantel said we are not our ancestors. And she said that when I was like, I don't know if I could just lay down and peacefully let you murder me. It just ain't gonna happen. Like, I know a lot of people might be listening to me say that and might say, yo, you full of shit. But no, believe me, I'm not. Like,
in real time, what do you do in real time? Like,
I don't see a man sitting there and allowing a cop to just murder them. Like, I just don't. I know out of my brothers, I don't see it happening. They're gonna fight for their life, and I think people are just tired because nothing is getting done. Like, I really don't honestly hear anymore about the racism stuff going on, but I know it's still going on. people are not going to just keep dealing with it, right? Especially nowadays, like people are tired, people are going to do something about it. And if something is going, they're fighting, they're telling people, hey, we need to figure out a plan. They're getting ignored. Yeah. So now people feel like they got to take it into their own hands.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm not going to see you like straight up anarchy. We're going to burn this bitch down. All I'm saying is flat out, like, I can't imagine any situation going down where I'm literally going to be like, it's okay to do what you're going to do. Like, I will comply, but I'm only going to comply so far. If I feel endangered, then I'm kicking it with whatever. Listen, I'm getting old. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm getting old. But let me tell you something. I always keep a couple things in the tank, and I think pretty good on my feet. And I know where they got something called a softening technique, and that'll always be your eyeballs. And people never think about it. I hate to sound vicious, but I'm gonna sound vicious for a second. People don't never think about it. But the first thing I'm gonna do is shoot for your eyes, your nose, your crotch. Eyes, nose, crotch. Eyes, nose, crotch. That's what you say. Just like when you have a gun, two to the chest, one to the head. Boom. It's just like that. You practice, then that becomes muscle memory. So, no, I don't think that I can take down a fleet of people, but I'm definitely somebody going to be fucked up, and the story probably going to sound fucked up because they're going to be like, yeah, we shot him because he poked this dude eyeballs out. And I'm be like, hey, I guess that's just going to be the story, but he ain't never going to see the truth. Get it? Right. I did a pun there and see the truth. But that's just how I feel. I just don't see it going down like that. I can't. I've seen so much, and I've done so much with my life, and I've given so much of myself to this country. I swear to God, I just don't see myself. And I go over this shit in my head, but this is what mental issues do to you. I literally go over drills in my head about that shit. Yeah. I think about that shit. I'm like, what do you do? At what point do you decide, like, okay, this is going to be either him or me? At what point do you decide that?
And that's all I'm saying. That we have to, being of, brown skin, we have to constantly think about, like, we can't have like a normal.
I'm sorry.
Saw that.
I'm sorry. This interruption, Dante. So I'm gonna.
Don't go there now. Let her finish. Let her finish first. Go ahead. Let her finish.
I don't want to be laughing while you talk.
No.
I was gonna say, like, you can't have like a normal, like, you're dealing with your mental health issues already, and then on top of that, you have to worry about, your life when you go out the front door. Like, that's something that maybe white people don't have to deal with, but we have to think about that.
You always gotta be aware.
We gotta be ready, and we gotta keep
ready at all
ourselves
times.
together.
That's true. We shouldn't be like that.
On top of dealing with the outside world, and it creates more anxiety, more fear, more panic, and now we're dealing with all the stuff on top of that.
That's right.
Now you can laugh.
Let me tell you, no, I can't laugh after you say that. But what I'm gonna say is, let me tell you something, Dante. Hell yeah. If I had to grab that man Johnson to disable him and get him off of me, it's worth my life. It's worth my life. And guess what? I will tell the fucking story if I lived past that. And you asked the question, and I think the question that you ask is very important. And I think everybody should think about this question. Dante said, fight for your life and risk the chance of losing your life.
That was a good one right there.
So,
good point.
I want to ask y'all, do you take the chance of peacefully complying and putting yourself in a position of losing your life, therefore putting your life in someone else's hands? Man, you don't get taught to survive, to lay down and die. Like, I went somewhere totally different with people that don't even talk like me, don't look like me. And they teach you all this stuff to survive, and you train and you train and you train to survive just to come home and comply and die? Like, who does that?
That's true. Good
I cannot trade my life for someone else's insecurities. I cannot trade my life for someone else's anxiety. I'm not going to trade my life for somebody else's fear. And guess what? at the end of the day, when I take tally of all the things I've done, man, I fucking danced on top of a mountain to fucking Michael Jackson. I done been in countries that people would never see. Man, I went to Ireland and saw a fucking black Irish guy. And I don't know if he was a black Irish guy. I call him Blyrish, black and Irish. That's my thing. But he was like top of the morning and everything else. And I'm like, God damn. I didn't think that was real because I never saw that shit on TV.
We all over though.
Yeah, I know, but it was
place.
just, it blew my mind.
Right.
Our bus driver was black. I'm assuming like he from Africa or something like that. He's like, top of the morning. I'm like, good morning, sir. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the whole thing becomes this. I done did so much shit in my life. Done been so many places. Mexico dancing. Like, dude, I done did so many crazy things in my life. It's like, if that moment came, I had to make peace with death a long fucking time ago. And the moment that you find out, like, you're going to war and you going somewhere where it's hot, you got to make peace with the idea of dying.
But why should you have to walk around in that mindset?
Well, you shouldn't. That's the fucked up part.
Like, we the only race,
should.
like the percentage alliterates, we the only race that have to do that.
But how do you, we can't even begin to have conversations about this because no one is going to hold anybody accountable for what they do. If you're not holding people accountable, this conversation is for nothing.
Right.
It's for nothing. I don't talk for exercise. Fuck that. It's like back in the day, people used to put a stick on somebody's shoulder and be like, oh, knock my mom
knock
off.
her off, yeah,
And
you
y'all
fight
doing
it.
that for like 5 years. No, fuck that. I'm swinging. I'm not sitting here waiting for you to knock my mom off my shoulder. Because you knock my mom off the shoulder, you already did the damage. And plus, you showed everybody that apparently I was scared to make a move. And that ain't going down like that. And I hate to be like that because it's almost like a prideful comment. But to me personally, when I look at things, I look at it in terms of survival. And I told you, from the gate, I'm a big security dude. From the gate, like, I'm not going to let nobody invade my person. I'm not going to let you think you can do what you want to do with my life. And I do pray. I hope and pray that I never find myself in that situation, because anyone who's sitting down waiting for something like that to happen is a fool, because I don't want to have to prove my words are true. But what I will say is, very beginning conversation, I'll be the nicest person you know, but I'm not going to willfully comply to my death. I'm just not.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
That
That's all
question
I'm
right
saying.
there. Right there, yeah.
Shoot. Okay, Chantel said, we as black folk don't stick together like all the other races. But Chester is cut from a different cloth, because Chester is just one big fan that if we go anywhere, we stick together. Let me tell you something. I do believe that if you go somewhere and something go down and people are from the city, people are definitely sticking together outside the city. But man, inside the city, we don't stick together. It's like, it reminds me of growing up in my household. My mom had 9 children. Yeah, we gonna fight everybody. We fighting each other all the time, wearing each other clothes, arguing and shit. But guess what? When we hit them streets, you better not lay your hand on one of Martina's children, because we all coming. We all coming. I don't give a fuck if you stole my sneakers yesterday to my brother. If my brother took my sneakers yesterday and somebody fucking with him today, he could have my sneakers on his feet. We gonna fuck you up. And then when I get home, I'm going to fuck him up for stealing my sneakers. Amanda said, what are your thoughts about the serviceman who was sprayed in his vehicle by the officer? Let me tell you something, man. One of my biggest fears, honestly, when it comes down to it, because all I keep thinking is, I served my country. I served my country. I'm a licensed firearm carrier. I should not have to fear having my firearm in my vehicle, but guess what? I don't have the security of my uniform to protect my black skin. I don't. And a lot of people, a lot of Caucasian people that may hear me say these things may think to themselves that America doesn't work like that, but it doesn't work that way for you. And I can understand that point of view, because when you don't have to deal with something, it's hard for you to understand it. Much like me trying to understand what it feels like to have a period. I know what a period is. I know what you have to do. I know what you say it feels like. But I'm like, shit, well, I done had cramps in my leg and I've rubbed that shit out and play football again, you know? But for you, it's on a different level. But all I can equate that cramp to is what I had in my leg. They can never equate being black to being white, because there is no similar instance in their life.
Absolutely.
You can equate what it's like to be poor, because you know what it's like to be poor, and I know what it's like to be poor. But I can't tell you what it feels like to be white. Therefore, you can't tell me what it feels like to be black. So you can never understand the experience. You can have sympathy, but can you really have empathy for a situation you can't put yourself in because you don't even know what it looked like? And they tried to do that one time with a movie called White Man's Burden. And it was a knockoff of a movie that Sidney Poitier was in, I believe, back in the day, and I can't
Was
remember.
John Travolta was?
Yeah, John Travolta
Yeah,
was
John
in
Travolta's
White
name.
Man's Burden or whatnot.
It was like, it showed from the different, like, the white man
It
was
flipped.
living the black side,
Exactly.
and the black man was living like the white man. They showed from that perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a good move.
Exactly.
That was a good move right there.
But yeah, I'm saying to you that I personally think the gentleman that was in the military that got killed, unfortunately, the color of our skin is the original sin. And since that is the original sin, it transcends any other transgressions that any human being can make, because we are in fact viewed as a threat from the gate. We're more dangerous. But just think about this. Is it really that hard to believe when people look at us on a basketball court, assume we could play, they'll pick you, and then find out you can't play? Or people who assume you can dance because you black, they go to dance with you and you dancing like, you know,
Or that you have
you know
to
what
like
you're doing.
like
You know what I mean?
fried chicken or something.
Yeah, or you like, well, yeah.
And what about-
People look at us, and there's so many stereotypes. They looked at us based off stereotypes. And a lot of people learn what they learn through Hollywood, through the media, through the news outlets. That's how they learn about black people in our community. But in the same token, you know, black people are shooting up their community, and it's a lot of stuff that we might not necessarily, it doesn't say it gives anybody right for anything, but sometimes we help paint that picture. What do you think about the service member who got shot?
I can't really speak on it because I have no idea about
Oh,
that.
you didn't hear
I
about
didn't
it?
hear about it, but
I ain't
I
about it
did
either,
want
no.
to bounce off what you said about white people not knowing what it means to be black. And then when you're biracial and all of that mixed, it's even worse, especially dealing with mental health. To be biracial, have mental health issues, because now it's like if your skin color is too dark of a shade, now you're on this side, or if it's too light of a shade, you're on this side, and then you have to pick and choose what side you want to basically play on, and so you're forced into this category. I know growing up, my brothers and sisters, we vary in color, and so it's like kind of they were trying to force, oh, should we label them as black or should we label as white? Well, I mean, if you're brown skin, you can't be labeled as white, and so you fight in that battle. But then the stuff that's going on right now with the racism, like, it's like if you fight for black people, the white people are looking at you like, why are you fighting for that? Well, that's part of who I am, so why shouldn't I be? So it's even, I'm not gonna say worse for people that's biracial, but it's just like we're stuck in the middle, and it's like we have to pick and choose. So why do you have to pick and choose who you are?
Right.
And it's just going to say, if you're black, we don't choose to be black,
Sure.
but we appreciate, you know, our skin color. Why is that a sin? Why is that a threat to white people?
True. Good
Well,
point, man.
The crazy part about
Good,
everything is that you know, being biracial, for white people, you'll probably never be white enough. For black people, you'll never be black enough, and it leaves you in this weird space.
It
But
does.
I gotta read this comment.
You want to read it?
Yeah, I got to. So Dante said that's like a white woman wanting to date a black man because she think he has a big dick, but get home and he has a shrimp.
Nah, man, stop,
Yeah, let me
man.
tell you something.
Wow.
No, that's
But
true.
that's the honest to God truth.
It is the
You
truth,
know,
though.
no matter how you look at it, we're labeled in so many different ways. Like, if I was to have a focus group of white people that knew nobody would see their answers, and I stuck them all in a room, don't put your names on no papers, no nothing,
Right.
and just said, describe characteristics of a black woman. Anything, they're gonna be like angry, resting bitch face. It'll be all of these negatives.
Ratchet.
I promise you, ratchet. They will go
Right.
down the list of all of these like negative attributes. But I think it's so many negative attributes is because that's how we are painted.
They took a poll, like this was years ago, of the least attractive woman race, and black women were at the bottom. I'm like, how can that be? But yeah, they had a group of men, different races of men, and black women were still at the bottom of least attractive. And I'm like, that's just crazy and nonsense. But
Well, you know, and this is the crazy thing. I think that people say that verbally, but quite honestly, I think that the true feeling is that black women are the most desirable
yeah,
because of their attributes, because of their body, because of their skin tone. Like you'll hear people say, it's something like people give like heavy set women a bad rap. They'll be like, oh, you fat, you fat. They'll call a dude in a second, you fat, you fat. But secretly, people be up
They
in that
want 'em,
inbox.
yup.
People covet,
Right,
covet
true.
them curves.
Exactly.
People want their hands full of something.
Right,
People
full of hold on to.
And them big women flexible.
Right.
You know what I mean? They doing a couple things, but nobody wants to say out loud, like, yo, this is what it is. So at the end of the day, even if you take a poll or whatever, people gonna write what they write, but the truth is the truth. Man, who is more who's more coveted than a black woman? Quite honestly. And there's plenty of people. Let me tell you something. I was in the military. I've had the military is predominantly white. I've had so many freaking conversations with people, Caucasian people, about women that we talk in the military. It's a bunch of sex talk. We talk about a whole lot of things, but we talk about a lot of sex too. You know what I mean? And so I've had so many people tell me in a heartbeat, oh man, I would definitely, oh man, this, that. And you're like, I knew it. I knew it. You know, so that would
Right.
be a personal poll. But, you know, it's people talking honest from their heart. You know, you're desirable. Always remember that. Especially y'all big women out there. Remember this. Remember this. I promise you. They say it's a screw for every nut. But everybody ain't got that type of butt. You get it in, you get it in. People want you, you're desirable. And a lot of y'all know it. A lot of y'all know it. Y'all might know it and may not act like y'all know it.
I think it's the confidence behind it, though. Like, I don't think, you know, the whatever size, but the confidence. Because you could have somebody that's, like, ideal type, and they have no confidence, so they're not going to attract people. But that you see someone that's bigger that with all this confidence,
With the confidence,
it makes
right.
you drawn to them.
That's true, too.
And so, like, I just think it's about the person in general.
Yeah, that personality definitely draw you in that right kind of personality. But I'm gonna take a second here. I wanted to do a little bit of poetry because we always do some poetry. So I don't remember this whole poem, so I'm gonna do as much as I know, and then I'm gonna roll over to Christina and let Christina do a piece of poetry real quick. But here you go. This is not anarchy. It's a painful reminder that America was built off the back of people who look just like me, slung from trees in an effort to eradicate the notion that we could ever breathe. How dare you in the Constitution right before the people, we knowing damn well that you labeled us less than human beings. Raping, burning, and killing us until we also finally believe we could never be free. You destroyed our fucking family. Even today, our mind brandished signs of broken dreams. The American promise was deferred, delayed, then denied. No slice of the American pie, just crumbs in an empty tin for those of us bathed in this rich, decadent melanin. America's guiltiest pleasure, yet we are treated as its deepest and darkest of sins. Our culture was strip-mined. Left behind is the resulting actions that you see. How dare you take we, poke our eyes out, and then attempt to tell us how to extrapolate revenge. You honestly tell us to forgive and forget all of your sins because they're in the past. Well, you tell that to the white masses. You see, it sends chills up my spines when every day I see me and mine's hands up, shot in the back, laying on the ground, shot in the head, watching TV, eating ice cream, shot in the face, shot in the head, sleeping in the goddamn bed by those who are entrusted to protect our lives. And then you turn around and say, sorry, wrong house, and go back to living your lives. You see, we are tired of burying our sons and daughters, husbands and wives for an America lost in translation, dipped in reality but painted in perception. Why are we the only ones constantly forgiving transgressions for America who never learned to live up to what it said it wanted to be? So I'm gonna stop that right there. And I literally mean that. We're paying for transgressions for a country who never lived up to what it said it wanted to be. Read the Constitution, and you tell me that that Constitution, the idea of what America is what we're living in. You ask me why most people would even want to stand up and fight for this country. I don't even necessarily think it's that people fight for the country. I think that people fight for the idea of what America is supposed to be, what we want our children to grow up in. The ideas of people who came before us, before it got all intricate, before it got all deeply woven and disgusting, before it wound up being the country that it is today. And let me tell you something. I've been a lot of places. I promise you that there's no other country I'd rather be in. I can tell you that from the gate. Because I've been in some places where I was like, I don't never want to come back here.
Me too. I'm in a lot of places like that.
Exactly. But I will tell you this. There's a whole lot of problems. And so the real question becomes is, what is the conversation that fixed the problems? And how do you have a conversation prior to people being held accountable for the things they do? When does I was afraid stop becoming an excuse? You cannot be afraid. You don't get to say that. When I went overseas, I didn't get to sit down and say, I don't want to go on this mission because I'm afraid. No, you signed the motherfucking contract. That's what they say, United States Marine Corps, USMC. You signed the motherfucking contract. So you're going to do what you need to do. And we do it. And you do that shit with honor. And if you can't do that shit with honor, then you don't need to do it at all. Just the way it go. So I'm going to stop talking y'all heads off now that I'm all hyped up and upset and shit. And I'm going to turn the mic over to Miss Christina McIntyre.
So you did the poem for that we did that. So I'm gonna do my part.
That wasn't even a full sentence. You did the poem.
You don't understand the poem that we did for the project. So I'm gonna do my
didn't
part.
set it up.
Well, I'm gonna do my part. Okay.
Well, Christina and I was a part of Christina.
I'm sorry, my thoughts are getting entangled with.
Christina and I was part of a project called United We Heal. During the pandemic, when all of this old craziness was going on, we was up in Philly recording and being filmed at these different sets and sites, and we were paired with dancers that danced to the poetry that we did. And what I did was part of the poem. I didn't do my whole poem, but Christina just said she's going to do her part. So that's what she meant by, well, you did yours and I'm going to do mine. So
I know, my words got scrambled.
It's all good. It happens.
We can breathe. We can't breathe We can't breathe. You said we like we're brothers. You raped our mothers, killed our sons and daughters. I never got the opportunity to meet my father. Now I'm a bastard. I'm tied to an America that doesn't even see me as human. That's not our Constitution. We were bought over in chains. We still bleed daily. It never ended. You just put a Band-Aid over it like it was supposed to make it all better. Nothing improved. Still waiting in line to get fed. Our skin tone determines whether we get checked right or left. Living in inhumane conditions. Lack of education keeps us following master's order. I am not your fucking daughter. I watched my brothers get beat down, face down on the ground. They couldn't breathe. Am I next? Oh, slavery ended years ago. Why is this face still missing Why is this face still missing on the milk carton? Damn it.
Take your time.
Okay, I apologize. Why is this face still missing on the milk carton? I can't lay in bed without losing sleep. Your badge gives you the right to arrest me without probable cause. Casket closed. I come face to face with reality continuously. We don't live in your boxed-in fantasy. I can't be a martyr like Malcolm X or Martin Luther King Jr. I refuse to have my son slaughtered by the hands of yours. I will not lay down my life for you. You chose to segregate, impregnate me with your lies. I don't believe in fairy tales. I still hear the echoes of strange fruit. I am not for sale. You said all lives matter. Well, their life didn't matter. I know my life don't matter. I can't afford a family because I am not part of the American dream. My scars will never heal. If I take my hands and make you bleed, will we be even? Will I finally be set free? We are not the people. I am the face of the America we created. Time for our repayment. We are struggling to catch our breath. Thank you.
Oh, that was weird. They two different dings. That make it weird.
It did.
Yeah.
Do it again. I about to say.
It almost, I was like, but that was a part of a project that we did up in Philadelphia. I read half of my poem. I didn't know you was gonna read the whole thing.
I butchered it, but it's okay.
Oh no, it's all good. Let me tell you something. It's something ain't nobody heard before. And since they ain't never heard it before, they can't really say much. Now, this whole thing that we doing tonight, once again, is called On the Inside Looking Out. And so what I really did want to do was give that perspective. Well, Qua had called me up and said, hey, he called me up about maybe sliding through Christina's show. And then it became a situation of me saying, well, I do a 2-hour show. And, we can talk about a whole lot more because it's a 2-hour show. You know what I mean? So it was a good thing. And here we are. And so it was inspired by him. But I chose the inside looking out just to kind of express how it felt to have mental health issues and mental health concerns and dealing with the world around you. Because typically we talk about the outside looking in. We talk about everybody external of the human being with those mental issues. You know what I mean? So I'm going to share this other piece, and it's pretty much about anxiety or whatnot. Just letting y'all know how it feels. But this is another thing. I think that anytime anybody has to police a community, I do believe that that number one, you should only be allowed to be a police officer for maximum of 4 years, because after a while, it's just like with people in the military, they was talking about only having so many deployments. Because just imagine if you spend 20 years in the military and a lot of your military services deployments and you're always exposed to those things. There's people that go on one deployment and come back and they don't be right no more.
Yeah.
Right.
You got what I'm saying?
That's true.
So if you're living your life in deployments around death, murdered, watching kids die, like if you around bombs, bullets, and bad guys like 24/7, just imagine the impact of that on one person's life. So if you're living in a situation where you're a police officer and you feel like you're under high stress all the time, you should not be able to make that a career. Because imagine the damage that you can do over 20 years of faithful service. Imagine that. You know, so here you go. This is called A Friend of Me. And it's about anxiety. It's about my anxiety, and in particular, it's so. I told y'all all, like, going to war and everything, you got to kind of make peace with death, and I did all of that jazz, and I was prepared. And before I would go out on mission and everything, I make sure my shit is packed up so nobody would have a bunch of stuff to do. They can inventory my stuff and send it home all nice and neat or whatever. And I didn't want to make my death a burden on somebody. But then to come home and have anxiety, depression, PTSD, to be stuck in a situation of constantly feeling like I'm going to die, but it's not from somebody outside, it's coming from within. So this is kind of what that looks like. I see him in the darkness, not physically, but silently he beckons me from the corner of my room. He's never in front of me, but to the left and abreast of me. I hear him silently calling. His silence gives me chills down my spine, tingles on the tip of my tongue. The chill he brings begs the question, are you going my way? Words I dare not say. I ignore him to the best of my ability. My mother always told me not to talk to strangers because it is always when you are most confident that you find yourself in danger. He has stood in my shadows for far too long. It's almost as if he's a friend of me. I get so confused, maybe an end of me, within nicknamed enemy. Wow, can this be? He knows my deepest, darkest fears that for me remain unspoken. He has figured out my clever tricks I've used so long for coping. He exploits my fears when I am at my weakest. This is so much more than I can bear. I'm sleepless. He uses my body against me. My body betrays me. My legs are unsteady, and I can't breathe. I know today he will win. I have committed sins, never in the form of torture like this. I'm gasping, thinking, Miller, you can do this. I swear to God, I can feel him getting closer. I talk to most of the ones I hurt, just need to get some closure. Wipe my slate clean before I go before my maker. Forgave my daughter's mother, but deep down inside for what she did, I still hate her. I guess some things will never change. Death is coming to rearrange all that I thought was in order. I'm begging every night for another night to express my love to my daughter. When he takes me, I don't want to roam eternally with unfinished business. I'm trying to change my life. Please, God, please bear witness. Please let me regain control of my body before I burn. Let me experience freedom in life to live the lessons I've learned. Sometime just to know how it feels again to live in peace. But he reminds me there is no release. Clutching my heart in my chest and slowly but purposely squeezing, tightening my lungs to prohibit my breathing, a constant reminder of who is actually in control. I spiral, I plead, please let go of me. My pleads met with silence. I guess it's karma's cruel kindness. Perfect match made through blindness till death do us part. A friend of me.
Wow.
And
I like that.
I put it. I wrote it out that way because, quite honestly, that's literally like what it feels like. You live with this inside of you, and there is no degrees of separation. And all you can do is try to find ways to cope. And it's so funny because when you were talking earlier about getting pulled over by the police And like you can be going through what you're going through and they don't know it because they can't see it.
Right.
But once again, we have ways of coping and the rest of the world don't know it. But I always tell people I can look calm as shit, but there's this little guy running around in my head, ripping pictures off the wall, flipping furniture over. Yeah. Like he's literally flipping out. And I'm looking at you like, really? Oh, that's interesting. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. You know, it's so fucking weird the way that it works.
One weird thing about me, like sometimes I want to be in my own world.
Yeah.
Like when people call my phone, like I'm not a phone person.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be, you know what I'm saying? I will look at my phone and watch it ring. And
they'll be like, you ain't shit.
I see you on Facebook. I know you're around. But I don't like being bothered. So I don't want to hear no gossiping. I don't care what nobody else doing. I don't want to hear that.
Well,
I got my own thing, my own life going on.
That could kick your shit off. It could
make it work. Exactly.
You call me with your shit, you just putting bricks in my bag.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to breathe. I'm trying to concentrate on living for the next moment. Like, fuck out of here. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, and nothing's worse than if you call somebody, like occasionally you'll reach out for help. So you might reach out and you just want to talk to somebody. You say, man, listen, I'm having an episode. It's going real bad. And they listening to you for a couple minutes. And they be like, well, you know what? I understand how you feel because I went over here and these fucking people was this, that, and now all of a sudden we talk about you. I called you for help.
Exactly. I'm trying to vent to you.
Talk me off the ledge. Can you talk me off the ledge? Damn. Like, what is going on? What is going on? But and I'm going that route because we only got like 30 some odd minutes left. But I'm going that route quite simply because along with mental health issues, you gotta realize of suicide awareness. You got to be aware that sometimes people get to the point where they can no longer hold themselves together, where each day is like excruciating for them, and nobody never decides like, hey, today I'm going to commit suicide. I always thought of it as like a process. It's a slow road to it. It's a slow road to it. And a lot of people will say, oh, but they didn't give any signs or anything. We just didn't know. But I refuse to believe that.
No, people always if you go back, people do leave signs when they're suicidal and they accept them. So when I was 12, I wrote a suicide note because I was depressed. I cut myself because I was overweight. People used to tease me. I didn't want to die. I was like reaching out for help. I didn't know if that was going to be the end result. So these people are telling people like they need help. If they're withdrawn, if they're giving away things, there are signs that people are doing. Sometimes people do accidentally wind up killing themselves. I had a cousin that drowned himself in liquor because he was gay and he was afraid to come out like that. And one night he drank too much from hiding and he wound up dying because of it. So there is a lot of different reasons why people commit suicide. Like I used to sit there and think like, why? But I understand. Like I pray that I never get to that point in my mental issues, but I don't know. Like we don't know what could happen or trigger it. Like if somebody like touched my son or killed my son or did something, it might push me over the edge. And I think they get to that point, like they feel like that's the only relief. Getting out of this world will be peace for them. And so.
Well, I think a lot of times that, let me tell you something. I used to always tell myself that I couldn't understand how somebody could kill themselves.
I say that too, but you're not in that person's shoes. You don't know what that person goes through.
You don't know what they go through or whatever. But the more I travel through this life, sometimes I swear, it's like a light at the end of the tunnel. It's like you can almost start to understand and see when we look at what we living in. And we got to realize for people that have mental health issues, it's not just what's going on in their mind or what's going on in their body. Look at the fucking world right now. What we're dealing with right now, and on top of that, to have mental health issues. So people who was getting cabin fever because they felt like they were stuck in the house because of COVID. Exactly. Imagine them. Let me tell you something. I'm a runner. I gotta go. I can't be caged in. If I'm caged in, I will go fucking crazy. I don't care if it's 3:00 in the fucking morning. I don't want to lay in bed feeling like this is going to be my last fucking breath. I need to feel the air on my face. I got to get out of here. So imagine, somebody being cooped up during a pandemic and they have mental health issues.
Right.
Imagine the person that doesn't have mental health issues that's going crazy and they're pushing the buttons of the person with mental health issues.
Exactly.
A lot of people definitely committed suicide last year from being isolated. Like, I found myself, my mind, like, for the first few weeks, I didn't go anywhere. I just went to work and came home, and I was going crazy in my mind. I'm like, I gotta go take a walk. I gotta get out of here before, I wind up like getting to that depressed mode. So people really don't understand. Like,
And suicide and overdoses was heavy too.
Oh yeah,
real big.
Oh, yeah.
Overdoses.
Well, you
real
know something
kick.
too. I think for a lot of people that may be preferential. I think a lot of times we kind of meter our own pain. So if you can dose yourself out some weed and stuff like that, you can. But people got different choices on what their substance is.
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
Everybody got a different thing going on.
True.
Some of us, we can take a couple puffs and we can sit back and that's good. But some of us, we need to. It need to be sherm. Some of us, some of us need to be smoking on dippers, cigarettes dipped in formaldehyde. Some of us, we need to pop pills. Some of us is in the fentanyl. Like many people are into different things, and sometimes those overdoses are accidental. But then sometimes people just can't take it anymore, so they might take that whole bottle of pill because they pictured their death as slowly fading away from the world that they slowly faded away from a long time ago. Yeah, so a lot of us are just that, walking dead, and like most people don't realize that. But I'm gonna share this last piece. I'm gonna get you to do another poem before we go. Okay. And we also want to have our final thoughts, and the final thoughts is where I give everybody a few minutes to say what they think about everything and round it up, tell everybody where they can find you at or whatnot. And talking about straight out of Chester. But this I wrote for my friend Lance Cole, who once again committed suicide a few years back. On Christmas, I served with him in the Marine Corps. We were stationed in California. Let me tell you something, a really good guy. He did a few tours of duty, going to wars and everything else. And I mean, sometimes you come home and it's so weird because it's like you have to come to a realization that, and it's so crazy to talk about because I'm thinking of 50 different things. And I'm like, well, how do I explain this in a way that people will understand? You have to come to the realization that I'm going to die. I could possibly die. And once you come to that realization, accept that you've prepared to die, but then you don't turn around and prepare to live. You don't prepare to, well, okay, what if I don't die? And so you walk into the belly of the beast, doing everything that you can possibly do to get as far as you could possibly get, accepting the reality that my life could be over. And then it's not, and you come home, but you come home with all of these stowaways within your mind, all of these stowaways within your psyche. You come back with all of these dreams that constantly hold on to you and won't let go. And it's intrusive because you can't stop this. You can't stop thinking. You can't stop dreaming. You don't get to choose when you have your episodes. You don't get to choose how you feel. It's horrible when somebody asks you, hey, we're having a party next week, but you can't say, hey, I want to go. Because if you say, hey, I'm going, then all of a sudden for 2 weeks you're dreading the moment because you're like, I'm not going to be able to make it. I can't do it. I don't want to do this. Why am I doing this? But then people make you feel guilty. You feel like you have to because of friends, but it's friends who they're not really equipped to handle who you are with these problems.
That's perfect.
They're not equipped to they're friends of who you used to be. They're not friends of who you are now. and they couldn't possibly know who you are now because they're too linked to who they knew.
Definitely.
And they're afraid to get to know who you've become. So, this is for Lance. If a warrior cries in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear him, does he make a sound? Who knew that a moment of silence could be so loud? Who knew that the darkest of loneliness could be found in a crowd of people who say that they care, yet too emotionally ill-equipped to handle with care the jagged edges of a warrior with no more missions, only crosses to bear? A warrior who cries out during nightmares, yet silent within the reality thrusted upon him without the proper tools to survive. This feeling becomes intrusive, like bullets trespassing through unsuspecting skin, like sins of the father visited upon the son, and those footsteps in the darkness are catching up, you see. Warriors were never taught to run. We're taught to be oxymorons, walking dead. Sanity becomes a needless necessity when coming home labeled a hero against one's will. If a warrior kills for his country, then who do we hold accountable for the blood that is spilled? Just who do we hold accountable for the countless souls we are commissioned to steal? Just who do we hold accountable for those countless tears cried in the darkness, spark aggression imploding, self-loathing, the image leered upon with disdain through a toothpaste-stained mirror? You see, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, except for warriors labeled veterans through the eyes of we the people. So now I ask you, if a warrior loads his gun in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear, does he make a sound? When damaged to the point of no return, do we ignore the force and let the fire burn under the logic that the fire will eventually burn itself out? Now insert warrior and take the word fire out. You see, there's a war going on. The battlefield is a place that I like to call home, and it's beyond me how we have so many casualties and closets full of bone and flesh. Somewhere death almost feels like a warm bath and a phone call home, where no warrior is ever left behind. You see, we only get left alone in that empty abyss of thank you for your service. Left sitting in a waiting room to be put on pills, trying to convert to living life from killed or be killed. So I ask you, if a warrior shoots his gun in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear, when his body hits the floor, does it finally make a sound that this whole world will finally hear? 7,403 vets commit suicide each year. That's one hero every 65 minutes. If you close your eyes tight enough and you listen really hard, tonight you just may hear it. Thank you very much.
Wow.
And so I wrote that for my friend Lance, and let me tell you something. There's a lot of dark roads that you can possibly find yourself on at any given time in life. And you might not necessarily be suffering from lifelong mental health conditions. It could be something that you newly acquired, like myself. I acquired this all a few years back. So the whole thing becomes, we have to learn how to talk to each other. And if you can't learn how to talk to each other, take it upon yourself to know the people that you love. Know when something is wrong, because they may not always have the strength to come to you and tell you that they're hurt or that they're bleeding. They may feel like a burden. They may feel like a problem. They may even feel ashamed, because what proud man, proud woman wants to say they need help? Who wants to feel weak? And a lot of people view it as a sign of weakness, but let me tell you, I caution you against that. It's not weakness. It's strength when you choose to get help. It's strength when you choose to live. It's strength when you choose to be strong enough to hold on. And sometimes that's all you need, is just to hold on until you can get somebody who's going to throw you that life preserver or throw you that rope and help fucking pull you up. We were not designed to be alone. So don't feel like you are. It's always somebody you can talk to. They got a national suicide prevention hotline as well. I wish I had the number. Yeah, you can put it in the feed. Also, put your web page in the feed, but also go ahead and read your poem because we coming up on You don't have to pull it out now. Just
I was in the process of
you
doing
like, "Whew, I got it. Boom. In the beginning, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Okay.
Knock him out.
This poem is called Why Won't You Leave? Each day I get up and fight. You can't see it. The enemy hides behind my lashes and curls, hides behind a forced smile, hides because if someone saw who I was dealing with, they would leave and I would be alone, isolated from normalcy. Heavy breathing, paired with tears and coupled with pacing, taking measurements to make sure I hear my heart beating. The fluttering sensation it leaves causes me to panic. Am I ready to die? I don't want to die. Each breath I take, I wonder if it will be my last. I fall to my knees, pray, meditate, walk around in circles to ask the universe to spare me. I need more time. As the incense wears down, I regain some sort of consciousness. I still hear whispers. I'll be back when you least expect it. How can I go on like this? I want to move, but it will follow. How can I disappear? It knows where to find me. Even in the dark, it has the ability to get inside me without my permission. I don't get pleasure from this. It creates insecurities, calls me names, keeps me afraid of everything. I try to move on, but it takes my trust. Why don't you leave me the fuck alone? This relationship is toxic. You caused me to neglect. I had to cover my scars so no one knew. Missed calls, unfolded laundry. It's been days since I felt water run down my face. What are you waiting for? Should I drown myself in a bottle, open my legs to make me feel wanted, pop a few a day to take the edge off? It's time to let me go. You gave me some freedom. Some days you leave me by myself. Then I start to wonder why you left. I question myself, is this now my reality? What does normal look like? Then you creep back in, but now I fight instead of letting you win. I struggle each day to completely let you go, but now I'm learning how to not answer the door. And when I do, one day I'll leave and you won't be able to find me. I'll cry because I'll finally see me, and that will be enough. Thank you.
I want you to put your webpage in the browser if you could. Yeah. So we at this point right now, Quad, where we're going to start doing our last reflections or whatever. So take 5 minutes, tell people where they can find you at, tell them the like page and everything else. Tell them they can send you a friend request if you're looking for friends, if you got anything on Instagram, and your final thoughts on the topic.
For those who, the Straight Out Chester Facebook group, that's the group, that's the number one Chester group. I don't know what other groups y'all in, but Straight Out of Chester is the group to be in. And if you don't like the content on there, it's not a list of content on there. I know that. But just keep scrolling. It's not a positive post on there. If you want to plug your business, feel free. Chester entrepreneurs, plug your businesses. These podcasts, plug your podcasts in the group. We have to support each other.
Yes, indeed.
We have to unite. And it's strength in numbers. So as a community, we got to unite. So hoods, I support the whole city. I represent the whole city. I'm not a hood. I'm from 21st Street, obviously, but I support the whole city of Chester. Everything business-wise, I don't buy. I'm trying to stop spending with the Chinese man too, and those Arabic people. They just plaguing our community. I buy 21 Taste Bud, I buy Solo Subs, I buy everything in the community I try to buy that our people do. I watch the local I don't watch cable TV, I watch CMP Radio, I watch podcasts, I watch Charles Blakely, I watch Christine McIntyre, I watch Open Mic Cafe, I watch Stop for Tea in the morning, I watch, we got to support our own city, people. We had to start now, first and foremost.
Yes, indeed.
We had to start now. That's all I'm going to say on that. Enough said.
I want to real quick say thank you very much, Jane. I appreciate that, Jane Thompson. Angie, I don't have my reading glasses. Angie Spadaro, thank you very much, Angie. So the suicide prevention hotline, she put into the thread, it's 800-273-8255. Reach out. I'd rather hear your testimony than your obituary. I love that.
That was good.
Thank you very much for that, Angie. I appreciate that. I'd rather hear your testimony than your obituary. And just like I said, reaching out, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. I don't care what nobody say. Once again, we were not designed to be alone, and we all need somebody, and we need to stop being afraid that someone's going to throw something in your face or somebody's going to call you weak. Because let me tell you something. It's the person that stands to call you weak in your strongest moment. They just trying to hold you down. Let me tell you, I always told my daughters, and this is going to sound off topic, but it's on topic. I always told my daughters, if you talking to a dude and he trying to put some other guy down to impress you, that means he's trying to stand on his shoulders to look taller, so he ain't worth that shit. Leave him where he stand.
Sure.
If your actions can't speak for themselves, then you don't need to be in a conversation. Fuck out of here. Your final thoughts, Christina?
Okay, so mental health is definitely real.
Absolutely.
It's something that you cannot see, right? We can smile, we can look normal, but inside we are afraid, right? We don't feel worthy, we don't feel valuable. And a lot of times, like, we want to do things and we just can't, right? We want to be more sociable, but it's something inside of us that's preventing it. Like, slowly we're getting there, right? There's therapy out there. A lot of people use religion, medication if you need it, right? And then it's holistic, and this is what I do because I did therapy and it worked. I did the religion thing, and it didn't work for me after a while. And so when I found this and it connected with me, it's basically you're changing the way that you think and feel and then addressing what you're dealing with on the inside. So I deal with the chakra system as a healing tool for mental health.
I like that.
Chakras are energies in our body, and wherever it is located, that's where you need to address the issue. If you're having a lot of heart palpitations, anxiety, and fear, you're not feeling loved or you're not expressing love the way that you need. And so you need to figure out what's going on the inside. And I think I'm not knocking that medication. Sometimes it prevents people from really dealing with what's going on in the inside. And once we do that, I think we'll get to the point. No, I think we're going to have this for the rest of our lives. So we need to find ways that we can live peacefully, live our life, bring out our true identity while having our mental health issues. And it can be done. But you got to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice to get you the life that you need? And it's a daily commitment. You have to sit there and fight every day for your life. It is a struggle, but I'm telling you, it is worth it, right? Like, I'm not bragging about myself, but I was in a place of fear and anxiety, and I've done things over top of that while accomplishing that, while my heart is beating fast. But once you complete it, now you're ready to move on to the next thing. And that's what mental illness will do. It will prevent you from becoming the person that you are truly meant to be. But I'm telling you, you can do it. Believe in yourself. Know that you are worthy, no matter what people say. There is support out there. If you can't go to your family, I found support in groups on Facebook. I found some support from people I don't even know that show me so much love. So don't never feel like you're alone. You can always inbox me if you want to chat about the holistic approach or just mental health in general. I don't want people to feel like they are alone because we care. We want you to be able to thrive in this world. And that's that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I got to say this. In this very serious moment, Dante Hollis said, Christina, damn, only platform you forgot was an OnlyFans page.
I'm working.
What's wrong? Boy, What he drinking, man?
Chantel
Nah, what you
said-
drinking, man, over there?
Chantel said, if y'all feeling down, come see me for some laughs on Straight Outta Chester. And also said that part, I suffer from mental health, but memes are my therapy. That's why I'm the
Yes.
queen of memes. Yo, so I'm going to tell y'all like this. Being on the inside looking out is a special place. And it's a special place because it's a space where you have to learn the world around you. You have to learn how to navigate people. And it's such a shame because those people that are afflicted with these mental health issues, we have to learn how to navigate in a world of people who don't give a fuck.
True.
Or with people who are not equipped to give a fuck. Or people who give a fuck when it's convenient for them, when they feel like
Right.
understanding. But when they're having a bad day, it's like coming home and kicking a dog. I can remember engaging in arguments and just saying, please, okay, you win. I can't do this. Just leave me alone, and just wanting to just ball up and just freaking cry or fucking something. And people still attacking and attacking and attacking. And then you wonder why at the end of the day, somebody will stand up and swing on you. Or somebody will stand up and you hear that this crazy person done killed somebody, or this crazy person done this. Let me tell you something. If you push anybody into a corner hard enough, it's only a matter of time before they push back.
Absolutely.
And that's even you in your sane mind. Go to work and let them get on your nerves for the last time. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. And you may explode a different way, but always remember, some people explode and some people implode. And when people implode, they wind up taking their lives.
True.
You got what I'm saying? A lot of people walk around and they may not even necessarily know that they're having mental issues, and they may self-medicate. They feel better when they high. They feel better when they drunk.
Yeah,
Let me tell you something. When I first came back, I had like really bad anger management issues. And the honest to God truth is, I felt like it was a monster living inside of me. But when I drank, I was happy. And I made people happy, and I made people laugh. And that reminded me of who I used to be. And that was my mask. I got to wear my Mike mask because this guy is the happy guy. This guy is the smiley guy. This is the guy everybody likes because he's going to tell a fucking joke and laugh about it. Oh, this is the kind-hearted guy. It's not the person who will choke the shit out of you. It's the kind-hearted guy. And I want to be who I used to be too. And so it made more sense for me to drink. It made more sense for me to blur the lines between who I was and who I turned into. But then I had to get a hold of me. And the sad part is everybody can't get a hold of their self. It doesn't work that way. I consider myself to be lucky. I don't really drink like that anymore. And if I do, I might have a drink or two a month, if that. Sometimes a couple months might go by and I might not have shit.
Right.
I might take a beer in or something and just leave it at that, because I have more awareness of who I am. I went and got therapy and everything else. I went and did a whole lot of things for me. I try to elevate my mind. I try to look at the world in a different way so that I'm not who I used to be. I'm not going to sit there and argue with. I don't argue with anybody. You want to argue with me? I'll get up and walk away, because guess what? It ain't that serious, and what you got to say ain't that important to me. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let anybody pull me off my square.
Or let everybody run space in my head.
You know what my biggest fear was? My biggest fear, to a point, and honest to God truth, my biggest fear was I was going to snap. And I was afraid that if I snapped, I didn't know what I was going to do. I know what I think about, but what happens when your thoughts become reality? What happens when you carry out those thoughts? And the sad part about everything is, I remember watching Dead Presidents. Remember Dead
Yeah.
Presidents? And I think it was the white dude that was like, they didn't teach me how to unkill people. Like they didn't teach you how to, like they teach you how to kill,
right.
but they don't teach you how to stop killing.
Right.
The honest to God truth
good
is, knowledge is one of those things that once you acquire it, it could never be taken away. Even if you're put behind bars, they could never take it away. Let me tell you something. If you know how to shoot something for 500 yards away, then you still retain that knowledge unless you lose your mental capability to do that. Now imagine a person that gets well trained and they wind up having mental issues, but on top of having mental issues, they're being pushed over an edge.
Yeah.
Right.
You got what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That people's negative energy
Yeah.
can impact your vibration. It can lower it. And so now they're going to be mad when you're at their level, but they cause that. And so that's why I tell people, if you feel somebody's negative energy, please
I
remove
always tell
yourself away
people,
from them.
you don't know when somebody's
Yeah.
last straw is. You don't know when somebody's last straw is. You just don't. Respect everybody.
Exactly.
Respect everybody. Assume everybody's having a bad day, just as you are. Assume the way you're feeling, everybody else is feeling
Right.
that way. So don't take liberties with people's feelings. Don't take liberties with the fact that, I feel like joking around, so they all must feel like joking around, because it don't always go down like that. Because one of these days, you're going to put yourself in a situation that you can't backpedal out of. You just don't know what the next man is thinking. Hey, Fatima. Fatima said, displacement when you come home and kick the dog. We don't where people are in the lives of mental status. We should be more gentle with each other. Explore anger outwards. Implode anger inwards. We all have a mask. I wore my mask over my heart in my teen years and was explosive and implosive, finding quiet and understanding the reasons for my behavior and learning to not be ashamed for not understanding or knowing what to do was my saving grace.
Definitely.
I so agree with you, Fatima, on that. Let me tell you something. That's why I said earlier, the best possible things we can do in life is try to understand ourselves. Ask yourself why until you can ask why no more. Why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
Ask yourself why till you can't ask yourself why no more. And then you'll finally get your answers. Don't be ashamed to explore yourself. Don't be ashamed to talk to people. Don't be ashamed to get help. And just like we were suggesting, just like Christina said, some people need medication. If you need medication, you need medication. With me personally, my medication experience, it's not the greatest experience in the world. You know what I mean? And so I try to freaking meditate. I try to breathe. I try to be in nature. I identify 100% what you told me. People will tell you they call me and I don't answer my phone, or they sent me a text message. Sometimes it feels like pressure. That phone becomes the boogeyman. I want to hide from it,
Right.
because you like, shit, somebody saw my little green dot on Messenger. What the fuck?
Right.
And I can't
Sure,
do this right
absolutely.
now.
Right.
It's like where you be at sometimes.
That's
But
true.
you know what? It just needs to be respected, because life is life. Let me
Definitely.
tell y'all all, I appreciate y'all coming out this evening and rapping with us. You know what I mean? If you didn't get an opportunity to go over and like Straight Out of Chester, like Straight Out of Chester. If you did not like CMP Radio on Facebook, like it, follow us, watch what we got to offer, share what you see. Make sure you check out Mental Health Talks with yours truly, Christina McIntyre,
Some of my favorite
on
shows right
Sundays
there.
from
Sunday at 12.
12 noon to
Right, that's my
12:30.
favorites.
You know what I mean? And also, what was your webpage again?
www.becomeyourseed.com.
Become Your
And then
Seed.com.
TikTok, Become Your Seed.
I ain't say nothing about no damn TikTok. My time. So I'm messing with you. Go ahead. I'm messing with you. Say TikTok.
Your show.
Yeah, I'm about to tell them now. And tomorrow night at Dream Event Space, 517 Avenue of the States, I'm having an open mic night. So come through. And also, I wanted to let everybody know this. So CMP Radio is about to start having an open mic night here at the studio. It won't be something that you all can come to, but you all can tune into it. And when we do our open mic nights, what we want to try and do is we actually going to put up a Cash App and have people kind of like donate to the station to come and watch the show. We're also looking for small businesses that want to advertise or have their logo up during those event times.
That's perfect.
So everybody with a small business, I don't care if you don't have no brick and mortar, whatever. I'm literally looking to spotlight these small businesses. We're going to spotlight these small businesses. It's for a very small fee. And for that show, you will be, your logo and all will be on that show. Or you pay a little bit more, you get to do a voiceover and everything else. And you'll also be on the CMP radio.net app on 365 Live. So you'll probably hear that like twice the week or whatnot. You know what I mean? So we are looking for people to help them expand their brand as we grow as well. We got to learn that we have to sow into each other.
Yeah.
We have to sow into each other. And, you know, I believe in y'all. I know y'all believe in us. What you do ain't free. What we doing here ain't free neither. So we all gotta help each other out and really get moving in a positive direction. I think we need to focus more on small businesses because these big companies is taking our money and they just don't give a fuck about us.
True.
At the end of the day, guess what? It's better to buy from your own community because those dollars stay within your community.
Absolutely.
When we support y'all, you know what I mean? Y'all just turn around and support us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When y'all support us, we get to create jobs. We get to have somebody in here running the camera. We get to have somebody in here engineering in the booth. We get to have somebody answering phones. You know what I mean? When we support y'all and we buy y'all grub or y'all clothing, then all of a sudden y'all have to get a bigger manufacturer to take care of your load of clothing, or you have to get more people to help cook and package and everything. Let me tell you something. We keep our dollars here. We can grow this community out of control.
Absolutely.
It's the law of attraction.
Yes, indeed. Law of attraction. What you put out in the universe is what you're going to get back. So always find a reason to smile. Always find a reason to laugh. It's way too much bullshit going on in this world. If nobody told you today, I love you, he love you, she love you, we love you. Peace. La 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 la.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
Yo, I tell you,
La, la. Behind the scene, my tears fall.